What's up, Net Soldiers? I'm the Alliance. Welcome back to the video. So today we have another worst Star Wars movie rank list on the internet. Now, if you have any future ones you'd like to see me, my opinion on, or if it's like a movie ranked or like someone's opinion that you think is very wrong, you want to hear my thoughts on, let me know in the comments below, or go to my Discord and leave it in the net suggestion box. I'll leave a link to my Discord in the description below. Now, this one actually comes out from Rebecca T, and she gave me one from a place called Star Wars Amino. So for those of you who may not know, Star Wars Amino is kind of like a hub for Star Wars fans to come together. And I actually boycott it. Now, the reason why I kind of boycotted this website isn't because I think it's necessarily a bad website. It's just the moderators don't really know what they're doing. I got invited to the Star Wars Amino to share my content and make it more popular. And I brought people to Star Wars Amino in the past, a bunch of times, a bunch of different videos. I mentioned it. This may be like 2 years ago now, but mentioned them. I had to have gotten them thousands of users. And then one day they banned me because I was posting content, even though they asked me to join the Star Wars Amino because of my content. So yeah, kind of a really frustrating situation. So I'm ready to rip into those lists. So apologize to the original poster, but it's Star Wars Amino. So let's wreck some Star Wars Amino. Let's do this. Our first one is going to be number 12, the Star Wars Holiday Special. So for me, that's obvious. I think this one is perfectly understandable. You couldn't really even count it. It's more of like when people do Star Wars movie ranks, like videos, they always put this as either the best or the worst as a joke. And you can pretty much put this wherever you want because at the end of the day, it's awful, but it's also amazing. So it is what it is. Next one we have at number 11, Attack the Clones. I understand this completely. It makes sense. A lot of people really do dislike Attack of the Clones. I personally have come around to it due to my perspective I've changed on the entire episode. I think a big thing comes down to how people perceive Anakin. They think he's a whiny crybaby, but instead I look at him more as a broken young man. And I actually cover this in my Star Wars movie review series, so you want to go check that out. I'll leave links to those in the description below. They're pretty good. They say they're some of the best Star Wars movie reviews on YouTube. So, must be true. If you want more thoughts on why I think Attack of the Clones gets way too much hate, go check out that video. I'm not going to cover too much because there's a lot to cover as far as this video goes. But yeah, I think that if you change your perspective on like the main theme and a lot of the characters' motivations in this movie, I do think it becomes a better film. It's still rough, but it's not nearly as bad as it used to be perceived. At least for me, anyways. Moving on to our next one, we have The Rise of Skywalker. Okay, so this one is understandable. I understand why people don't like The Rise of Skywalker. It was the finale to this entire massive saga. Well, the second finale, because technically Return of the Jedi was the first finale. But this was going to be the big conclusion that was going to fix the issues left over from the previous sequel films and just bring the entire franchise together. But the issue was, it kind of feels like episode 8 and 9 smushed together. Like the original episode 8 and 9 that JJ had in his head, he smushed together, and it feels that way. It's rushed, yes, but I think it is the most entertaining as far as the Star Wars sequel movies go. I actually have it on my list. I think it's the highest out of the sequel movies, like right in front of The Force Awakens. And I think mostly for that is because I can forgive this film for a lot of its faults due to the fact that it had a lot to deliver, and the first two films really caused some issues for it. Not as much as The Force Awakens, but when The Last Jedi came in and kind of caused so many issues as far as the story elements and the different plot points that happen, I can understand it, and therefore I forgive this film because it had a lot to live up to. Unfortunately, it just couldn't, and that's the way it is. So I'm not necessarily saying it's a good film. I just think it's the best out of the sequel trilogy. However, The Force Awakens is good too. So, I mean, it depends. It depends on a given day. I could give it to either one of those. But I think The Rise of Skywalker might be a little bit higher on this list for me anyways. All right, moving on to our next one. We have The Phantom Menace. Understandable why this be this low. It is considered a slower, more boring Star Wars movie. There's a bunch of elements, though, that I would say that are good, not just the lightsaber fights and the pod racing, but there are also different elements as far as, setting up this massive story that is to come. Creating characters like Qui-Gon Jinn, who is almost like a vessel into the rest of the series. And Qui-Gon is a character who pretty much just came out of nowhere. And by the end of the film, he's your favorite character. And he dies. So it's one of those things like, you can understand where he's coming from, you can understand his perspective, and he sounds like a type of Jedi that we hadn't seen before. Like, think about it. We had Yoda and Obi-Wan, and of course Luke he created his own type of Jedi Order later on. But Obi-Wan and Yoda were the only original Jedi from the original films. So they were very orthodox in their teachings. So it was cool to kind of see another type of Jedi, one less orthodox, one that still believes in the Force, believes in what the Jedi represent as being peacekeepers, but ultimately realizes that the orthodox viewing of the Jedi is incorrect, and so he kind of makes his own way while he's still a Jedi. So he's still a good guy, but he does recognize that sometimes the Jedi are wrong, and when they're wrong, he doesn't go with it. So I just think he's a great character. He's more than I think people give him credit for. Like I mentioned, I did reviews for every single one of these films, so if you'd like to check that out, there'll be links to those in the description below. And for our next one we have, okay. Alright, yeah. I don't know if this is even legal, honestly. At number 8 we have The Empire Strikes Back. Ooh. I will be the first to admit, and like I mentioned about my movie reviews that are in the description below, The Empire Strikes Back does actually have a few flaws here and there, but to put it at number 8, behind Last Jedi, behind The Return of the Jedi, behind like Solo and Rogue One, you just can't do that. That's not legal. There you go. I'm not going to even explain myself. You guys already know that that's kind of wrong. Anyways, on to our next one. We have Return of the Jedi. Okay, so I'm okay with this placement, I guess. Return of the Jedi is definitely the weakest of the original trilogy. When I was younger, it was my favorite, and I think it was a great culmination to the ending of the entire original saga before the sequels came in. But ultimately, I do think it is weaker than Empire, and that's might just be me, but that's how I feel. On to our next one, we have Rogue One. Okay, so Rogue One is a little high for me on this list. I have a lot of subs who think that Rogue One is the best Star Wars film, or is one of like the top 3, and that's perfectly fine if you feel that way. But for me, I can't feel that way. I think it is fine. I think there are elements in it that are actually pretty cool, but it is just a standalone film that just kind of gets a little slow for me. Some people are okay with that. Some people don't really feel that slow impact, but for me, it does. So while I think it has a lot of good elements in it, overall, I couldn't put it this high. It's just not that good of a Star Wars film. Pretty decent film, kind of like The Last Jedi. Decent film, just not a good Star Wars film. I might get some hate for that, but that's how I feel. Next one we have Solo. Okay, so I would actually put Solo in front of Rogue One too, mostly because while Rogue One is the better film, Solo is the more entertaining film, I guess you could say. And in the end of the day, a movie's most important quality is that it needs to be entertaining. Even if it is based off of, a scary serial killer, or if it's based off of a bunch of happy bunnies jumping in a, I don't know, like a field or something. At the end of the day, the film has to be entertaining. There has to be the entertainment value. And for me, Solo was a little bit more entertaining, and had a sense of like the old Western, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, which is one of my favorite films. And I think that's what kind of really captured it for me. So it was a space cowboy film, and that's what got me the most, I think. So that's why it's over Rogue One. So like I said, Rogue One, better film, but Solo, more entertaining. At least for me. Next one we have, number 4, The Force Awakens. Okay, so The Force Awakens, I think, dropped the ball in a lot of ways. I think mostly because there were elements in The Force Awakens that was almost like they could have gone anywhere. They could have did anything, and I mentioned this in my movie reviews. I don't want to keep plugging those, but definitely check those out if you want to hear further explanation on what I'm saying. There are so many places JJ could have taken, you know, the sequel films, and I feel like he just played it safe with them. And I know that's one of the things that people say about The Force Awakens. You know, I played it safe. It's a copy of A New Hope, and it's both. But ultimately, the biggest issue with The Force Awakens is that there was just so much potential, and I think that's what grinds people's gears the most, especially the OG fans, the prequel fans, the expanded universe fans. There's just so many different elements they could have explored, so many intriguing, cool places they could have gone, and it's just kind of a play it safe type situation. So I can't put The Force Awakens as high. The Force Awakens as a film by itself is a fun, entertaining film, but it's nowhere as good as, you know, Empire Strikes Back. But like I said, could just be my opinion. All right, moving on to the next one we have. Number 3, Revenge of the Sith. You know what? I just realized that means that after Revenge, we only have A New Hope and The Last Jedi left. And Revenge of the Sith, as many of you guys probably know, is my favorite Star Wars movie. There are better quality Star Wars films, like I mentioned, Empire Strikes Back, even A New Hope, as to a certain extent. But Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie. You know, you want your darkness. You know, you want your lightsaber battles. You want your epic music. You want massive conclusions to awesome sagas. And this was the final piece that went right into this story. I know that a long time the prequels were always hated upon, and an argument could be made for The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, but you cannot put Revenge of the Sith down with the others. Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie. I've claimed it before. I will continue to claim it until another Star Wars movie comes along and throws it off its pedestal. But it hasn't yet. Like I mentioned, Empire is the better quality Star Wars movie. But if we're talking about the best Star Wars movie using all elements into, you know, consideration, Revenge of the Sith, 100%. All right, now let's see. What is our second last? It is. Oh, okay. So they don't have a second and first. It's actually the number 2 and number 1 are actually tied, and it is The Last Jedi and A New Hope. So The Last Jedi and A New Hope are on par. This is what I always say, and I will defend this opinion till the end of my life, or until another Star Wars movie comes out that surpasses it. The Last Jedi is visually, like, we're talking about cinematography. We're talking about, you know, just overall visual presentation. The Last Jedi is the best Star Wars movie. If we're talking anything else, then it is probably the worst. I mean, from different plot lines that were pretty much cut down completely from the previous film. You know, a director, Rian Johnson, which I have a lot of respect for. He has made good films in the past. My biggest complaint about him is that he took a part 2 story and made it his own part 1. And then JJ comes in and makes a part 2 and 3 to the original story and kind of skips over the part 2 that he made. It's just like, it's complicated. I understand wanting to kind of do your own vision, but there was already a vision set in place. So as soon as you slice back that other vision to make your own vision, you hinder the entire vision altogether. And that's what happened. So I could never put A New Hope and The Last Jedi on the same level, at least for me. I know that there is a sect of fans who love The Last Jedi, and that's okay if you do. But to put it above, you know, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, it just doesn't make sense. Like I said, on this channel, I respect all types of opinions. I mean, I once saw someone comment their rank list and they put Revenge of the Sith at last and Last Jedi at first. And I respect that opinion, but you have to remember that people are going to have a backlash to your opinion. Trust me on this. I was one of the first YouTubers that I've ever saw, of course, to put Revenge of the Sith at number 1 on my rank list. And I used to get so much flack for that. So much hate, so many, you know, mean comments, people just hating on me. And the whole thing about it is I'm pretty secure about myself, so I don't really care about the comments. In fact, I invite them sometimes so I can kind of, you know, have nice little trash talks with them. It's always a fun time. We have fun here. So Star Wars Amino, You got a bad opinion. So there you go, guys. That is the end of this video. If you find any other ranked lists like this, one that you disagree with, you want to hear my opinions, like I mentioned, let me know in the comments below or go to my Discord and just submit it in the suggestion box. If I use your idea, I will give you a shout out in that specific video. But that's it for now, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe and make sure to turn on those notifications. The YouTube algorithm has changed again, and now you absolutely need those notifications to get anything. Stupid, I know. Blame YouTube. That's kind of their game. They do that all the time. Always screwing over their creators. Why the subscribe button isn't good enough anymore, I don't know. But that's just the way it is. But thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you later. Peace.